Hey everyone, welcome back to andsoph podcast. I am your host, Sophie Wade, and this is my podcast for ordinary people with extraordinary impact. It is the final Friday of February. Happy Black History Month, and I hope that you have had a great Valentine's Day as well. Because I know we had our Galentine's episode, which make sure you watch that if you haven't already. I had my friend Dulce on, and it was so much fun. So if you haven't met me before, I am Sophie. I am a podcast host and content creator, and I have a background in filmmaking. It's one of my passions, but overall, I just love to create and highlight people whose voices deserve to be heard. As someone who grew up introverted, who didn't think my voice mattered all the time, I'm grateful I've grown into a place of where I've really learned to speak up, and they didn't see it coming. They didn't see the podcast coming. You can never let them know your next move. I was honestly really struggling to think about what I could talk about today because I just feel sometimes this pressure on myself to say something that's like the most impactful, revelational thing in the world. When honestly, I'm in a space where I'm also just learning from different people and trying to be filled. Part of why I also love this podcast is that many of my friends that I have on, we usually talk from a place of like still figuring things out, like sharing more of new things we've realized, but we're always going to be growing. We're always going to be evolving, which is a good thing. I just love you guys so much. I feel like the beginning of the year can remind you of all of the things that you haven't gotten to accomplish yet or everything that's changed. And that can be difficult, but it also comes with the hope of the possibilities for the good things that can change and all that can fill the space of what left in your life with new things that you were meant to experience. So I'm gonna start off with a quote that is from one of my favorite authors. Shout out Lisa Turkhurst, love you girly. And she said, "Hope is the most beautiful feeling of possibility, but exposes both of our greatest desires and our greatest fears." When I first read that, I felt really moved by that because I feel like that's so true. Like when we talk about hope, we usually talk about the things that we really hope for to happen that are positive. I hope to get this new job. I hope to meet more people, build a community. I hope to put out this business idea. I hope to launch this project. I hope to grow deeper in my relationship with my family and my relationship with God. But that also comes with the fears of failure, not reaching those goals, the fears of being vulnerable, the fears of maybe not being good enough to experience what we want to experience or not feeling worthy or any obstacles that may come in our way. Those are all valid feelings. And sometimes it's hard to feel like we are loving ourselves or loving others in those moments when we do feel behind. We just need to talk about it more. So, thank you so much for listening. Let's get into it. First, I wanted to tell you about being loved as your authentic self, which I've talked about a little bit on here. And I know hearing the word authentic self is just like such a buzzword, I feel like, for podcasts, but I feel like for me, it's something that I really tried to focus on all of last year, like really trying to be my authentic self because I can be obsessed with the way that people perceive me, which I've learned that you really can't control that no matter what. You really can't control that. Even if you are doing great things and you can be seen, you still can't control how they perceive you. So you just need to be focused on who you actually are and what you're actually doing, not how somebody else may look at it, even though that's important, but it's not everything. I wanted to share a moment actually that I had like yesterday. Yesterday, one of my friends, her name is Annie, she had a little reunion for some of our friends that were local and then some of the friends that were more local to her because she had moved away. So she's a little farther from us now, but she came to visit for the weekend. And so I got to meet some of her friends, which was really cool. And sometimes when I'm meeting new people, sometimes, you have some good conversations, and sometimes they're kind of short and they're kind of just like, "Oh, where are you from? Like, what do you like to do? Oh, that's awesome. It was nice to meet you." And it was like, that's it. And I thought that was going to be the majority of the conversations and that I was going to end up talking to people that I'm more close to. But I ended up sitting at the side of the table next to somebody I didn't really know that well. And I thought they were going to mostly talk to people they did know. But we just reached flow state in our conversations the second that we turned to each other. And I think there's something so special about someone intentionally getting to know you in a way that is way more genuine than just regular small talk to kind of just make conversation. Like it started like that, but then like we just kept asking more and more questions, and I realized, oh my gosh, like I feel like I can open up to them even though I just met them. I feel like we can relate on things, and some things we had different views on it, but it was like, oh, like what do you actually think about that? I feel like sometimes I feel hesitant to be honest in my conversations catching up with people, but I feel like I could be open with this person about like where I'm at in like my post grad life. Like they were offering me new perspectives, even at like living at home with my family. I feel like that's something that I'm always like scared to tell people. He was like, no, like you should really treasure this time with your family. I would have loved to live with my family right now, like and spend time with them. And I was like, wow, you know what? Like that's crazy. Even just talking about my walk with God, being honest about that, not feeling like I had to say like some PR answer about how well I'm doing. I felt after that initial reaction of just being like well received as my authentic self to share like how I actually think about things and what's going on in my life and where I'm at. I felt like it was just like someone who was just trying to understand where I'm at rather than just like get information or just see like how they can compare the two of us. This is how I want to make other people feel. Like how they made me feel is how I want to make other people feel that I've never met before, that might be a little different than me but still just want someone to talk to. So the introverted girl with a drained social battery really appreciated that. Sometimes you unexpectedly find those people that you really connect with and understand you, even if you haven't even known them for that long. But if you don't take the courage to be your authentic self, you may never know if you're gonna actually, you're like sitting in front of that person. Because I know I've had experiences before where I've been honest. It feels like there's like a little bit of judgment and stuff that can build like insecurity from wanting to be that open with people again. Vulnerability is a gift that people do have to earn. So when you do feel like you can do that and somebody respects that and holds the real you with care, that's everything. And I hope that we can all make each other feel that, especially with everything that's been going on recently, and to have those safe spaces for people to express just like how they're feeling about everything is so important. So I hope that we can offer that to other people. If we can't fix everything, that's one step that we can start off with. Another opportunity to love our authentic selves, I think, first and foremost, also comes from us and how we view ourselves. Because, like I said in previous podcast, like how we treat ourselves really impacts like the power we give other people to mistreat us. And I think that it's so important to see the little things that we tell ourselves about things as precious as our hair. Because in season one, I had talked with my friend Michaela actually about our hair. She has curly hair. To not love your hair is a really big deal because that's something that you see almost every day. So if you don't love it, that's a big part of how you view yourself. I realized that as I got older, and for me, I love to experiment with my hair. People have seen me have blonde hair, red hair, like you're just witnessing different versions of me, different fonts of me, depending on my mood. In the last year, I had like a lot of braids. Like I had like back to back hairstyles of braids. And it was cool. It was fun. It was cute. I love getting braids. I did notice that when I had my braids in my hair, I got a lot more compliments and people being like, your hair is so beautiful very often. It makes you feel great. But then I was like, I know that once I take these braids down, like the commotion is just gonna also go down with it. I was just like starting to attach my beauty to my braids because with braids, for the most part, they'll look like the same almost every day. It's not a style that you have to maintain as much. But with curls, it's very different. You can put in hours of work, baby, and the curls can still frizz up or like not do what you need them to do. I felt like this insecurity when I didn't have braids, and I felt like I always had to have them in my head. And I was like, I need to give my hair a break. Like, my natural hair deserves to be loved too. I wanted to come to a better place of loving my actual curls before I got braids. So I was like, I'm definitely getting braids again. Like, dealing with curly hair is a lot. I do love how braids look, but the next time I get them, I want it to be because I want to get them, not because I feel like I need to get them. I decided to go natural towards the end of last year, and it's been a really fun journey. Like, I've been experimenting for the first time with creating dupe bangs. Like, I've been duping everybody. The way I carry myself with my braids now, when somebody compliments it, I'm going to receive it, but I am not going to make that my identity. Kind of like I said, with like different things with attention. And I know that I am still beautiful without my braids because there's more to somebody than their hair. There's also their smile, their style, their energy. Come on now. The second thing I wanted to share with you is that you are loved for who you are and not just everything you do. And that reminded me of this scripture. It's Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Our hearts are who we are, and who we are, everything flows from it. So how kind you are, how respectful you are, how considerate, how intentional you are, how patient you are, how loving you are, how much self-control you have in your heart, what you do flows from it. So who you are is definitely important. Being loved only for what you do, I think of that like career or your work. I recently worked for a very big studio that I've always wanted to work for, and I was so excited to be there. It was on my Pinterest vision board, and it was just surreal to be walking through the lot every day. But it was a short-term gig, right? Some people were really like excited and intrigued about it, and some people were like, okay, well, what are you looking for now? Like, what are you gonna do next? I would kind of look for my validation in how people reacted to it sometimes because it was such a big deal to me. So if it wasn't as much of a big deal to others, or they didn't really show that same excitement or congratulations for me, I was like, I need to do more. Like, I need to get a better job for these people to really like snap their necks and look. And I realized that I've been trying to do that my entire life. Like, even me getting a job at my dream company was still not enough to make everybody be like, wow, that's so cool. Like, I'm literally getting questions now about like, what am I doing next? I know that I can't base my value off of what I do. Like, I'm never gonna be fully satisfied, and it's like clicking for me now. I feel like life is short. Sometimes we do forget that not every day is promised, and the fact that I got to experience that is such a blessing. My life is about who I am, and what I do flows from that. Yeah, that's your reminder that you're doing amazing, sweetie. You're doing amazing, sweetie, because you are amazing, sweetie. Kris Jenner, don't play with it. Okay, next for my divas that feel like they are falling behind, and maybe you think you're doing just fine. That's beautiful. That's amazing. I'm rooting for you too. This is my reminder to you that you were made to love and to be loved. I, of course, wanted to talk about that with both senses because I know we talk about romantic love on here and platonic love. So we're going to talk about both today, real quick. Story time. So I made a podcast last year, the last podcast that I did for season 2, which was like a bonus episode. It was called I'm 24 years old and never been in a relationship before. I recorded that on a whim. It was very random. I just felt like I should do it since I was talking a lot about it on my TikTok and my Instagram, and I was like, I should make a full episode about this. And so I did. It didn't take that long to do. It didn't take that long to edit. I put out there and I was like, really hope this means something to somebody because I was really vulnerable in it. I mentioned that I had never been on a real date before. When I say that, I mean like a date with like only one person. I've been on double dates before, I've been on group dates. Days after I recorded that episode, a date was in the works. was somebody that did not even listen to the podcast episode. And I'm telling you, before that, the last time I went on a date was 2 years ago. Guys, our words are powerful, guys. I was excited about this, but I was also nervous because I was like, wait, I haven't been on a date in 2 years. And then I haven't been on a date with just one person by themselves. I started freaking out because when I was talking in my podcast, I was like, maybe in like a year, a date will be in the works. Like, it was days after. And I typically like associated things ending with a guy as just being like ugh, like this is bad, and it being hard to like recover from it, and like I'm gonna be talking to my friends about it in a coffee shop for 3 months straight. After experiencing it and it not working out, it was a complete different experience where it was like, oh, I actually can experience like respect, intentionality, communication, and kindness and boundaries from somebody that I assumed would just like hurt me. Like I just like assumed the worst before I could assume the best, just because I was like, I'm scared. And so I was just grateful for the experience. I remember talking to that person and we were both like just grateful for the experience. And that reminded me that we are here to love and to be loved. That wasn't a waste of time or a waste of energy just because it didn't work out in that particular situation. It felt like, no, this was like reminded me that there's so many people that I haven't met yet that I will get the chance to get to know and get to talk to and experience like those good energy and emotions from. I think that's part of life, is getting that experience to love and to be loved. Like it made me excited for the future. Rare. Like I don't be feeling that after these things. So another experience I wanted to mention also, because I know it's February and it is also the anniversary of my best friend Daniela's passing, who is part of my inspiration for this podcast. In the beginning of the month, it marked 5 years of her passing. And I know that with her, the grief associated with her is like very deep because there was so much love in that friendship. And now that love has no place to go. Like it can't go back to that. If I met her and I knew everything that was going to happen in our friendship leading up to when we wouldn't even be together anymore, I would still want to be friends with her and I wouldn't want to take anything back of the memories. And I feel like if anything, I would have loved even more intentionally. Always reminds me when I think of her passing of like how it is so beautiful, like those moments, like that story I just mentioned of being able to have the opportunity to love and to be loved, because each day is precious and we don't know how much time we have with people that could like just leave us in this life. There's a risk in love, there's a risk of pain and hurt, but there's also a risk of deeper love as well. And so I know that as you guys open your heart up this year to new opportunities, new people, I know that you want to experience the same love that you put out there. And I know that it's risky. And I know you've been through some things this past year. I get you, I hear you, and I'm not going to ever invalidate that at all. And I know it's not easy to trust people again, and I'm still working on that too. There's so much love that you can experience, and if there's people in your life where you really love them, don't wait to tell them. Life keeps moving. Life is just very unpredictable. And I hope that you remember that your job status, your relationship status, your background, your physical appearance does not determine how loved you are, and that you carry so much potential for more love to grow within your heart, to soften it again after everything you've been through and you've witnessed. In the world especially needs your love and the traits that people love about you that they point out. So, thank you so much for listening to this episode. And please make sure to subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. And also follow the pages on Apple Podcast and Spotify. It'll be andsoph everywhere. And if you want to follow me on social media, it'll be at andsoph on Instagram so we can keep up between the episodes, or andsoph on TikTok. I can't wait to see you in the next podcast episode. And yeah, happy Black History Month. And I can't wait to be back outside for Women's History Month. Bye.